Please stand.
Standing for the land acknowledgement and the invocation. Brown University is located in Providence, Rhode Island, on lands that are within the ancestral homelands of the Narragansett Indian tribe. We acknowledge that beginning with colonization and continuing for centuries, the Narragansett Indian tribe has been dispossessed of most of their ancestral lands in Rhode Island by the actions of individuals and institutions. We acknowledge our responsibility to understand and respond to those actions. The Narragansett Indian tribe, whose ancestors stewarded these lands with great care, continues as a sovereign nation today. We commit to working together to honor our past and build our future with truth. In the ways that you meditate, pray, and give thanks, please join me as I offer this invocation. On this convocation day, filled with promises and hopes, we give thanks for the rich diversity of students, faculty, staff, family, and community members gathered here, representing different cultures, languages, faiths, creeds, classes, genders, and identities from across the globe. Together we stand upon this historic and hallowed grounds, commencing a new academic journey. Great Spirit, source of unity and wisdom, draw us into deeper harmony with one another, that in our diversity we may find our strength and become true Brunonians. Grant that we as a community of learners, academics, workers, and leaders may pursue knowledge with diligence and cultivate wisdom with humility. Bestowed upon us the grace to acquire not only academic knowledge, but also the character and compassion required to grow into the leaders and change makers our world deeply needs. May this university be a place where minds are sharpened, friendship are forged, and lives are uplifted. May our common life be free from division, fear, or hatred. May it mark instead by safety, joy, and respect. May every student know deep in their hearts that this is their home, that they belong here, and that they are deeply loved here. We also ask your blessing on the faculty, staff, and leaders of this great university. Grant them wisdom, courage, health, and strength to guide us all well. May this academic year be safe, meaningful, and life-giving for all who call Brown their homes. Amen. Please be seated. Now it is my great honor to introduce Brown University's 19th President, Dr. Christina H. Paxson.
Thank you, Reverend. Members of the Brown community, faculty, staff, alumni, parents, and students, it is my great pleasure as President of Brown University to declare the 262nd academic year open. I want to extend a special welcome to the members of the entering classes of the graduate school, medical school, and the college. Among them are 144 dedicated medical students, 1,270 very talented master's and doctoral students, 8 brilliant resumed undergraduate education scholars, students who've gained life experience after high school before coming to Brown, 103 incredibly perceptive transfer students, and of course, 1,753 exceptional first-year students, the core of the stellar class of 2029. It's great to have you here. Finally, I want to give a special shout out to our new international students. I am so glad that you're here. This is the first year that international undergraduates were accepted to Brown on a need-blind basis, which expands our ability to educate. Yes. Brown is just one of 10 U.S. colleges that's need-blind for international undergraduates. We are very, very proud of this distinction. So, to our new students, you are a stellar group. You are incredibly talented in so many dimensions. You are incredibly right for Brown. But what does it mean to be right for Brown? We certainly don't aim to admit a single type of student. And you're proof of this. You have wide-ranging and diverse interests and backgrounds and experiences, and that diversity is what makes this university so great. But even though you're all different, there is something distinctive about Brown students. And it's this amazing blend of intellectual curiosity, creativity, humility, a commitment to collaboration, an openness to new ideas and perspectives, a desire to make the world better, and its resilience, the ability to recover and thrive even after experiencing difficulties, even after experiencing failure. Yes, I said failure, and that is a scary word. But this afternoon, I want to challenge you, and don't be surprised, I want to challenge you to risk failure while you're here at Brown. Now, to some of you, maybe most of you, this idea may seem completely horrifying. Despite your remarkable accomplishments, many of you may be thinking, what am I doing here? I know that the person sitting to my right or my left is better equipped to succeed at Brown, and now she's asking me to risk failure? Are you kidding? I want to make two important points that I really hope that you take to heart. First, not succeeding at something does not mean that you are a failure. It means that you tried something and it didn't work. But you learn from those experiences, and each one opens up a choice. Will you decide to persist in trying to accomplish the same goal, or pivot and do something else? Neither choice is the right choice. The choice is yours. Consider Thomas Edison. He took the route of persistence. He and his team, in their quest to make a useful light bulb, conducted thousands of experiments to find a filament that was both durable and affordable. And this is how he described his work, and I quote, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Arianna Huffington is a great example of someone who chose to shift course after experiencing failure. Her second book was rejected by 26 publishers. And when she ran for governor of California, she got less than 1% of the vote. But then she took her skills in writing, she combined them with what she'd learned from politics about the power of online media, and then she co-founded the wildly successful Huffington Post. One lesson from these examples is that resilience pays off. Another is that taking risks, trying things with uncertain outcomes is part of learning, and learning is what you are here to do. My second point is that the Brown environment is designed to support you as you take risks. We want you to push yourself while you're here, intellectually and socially, to try things that take you out of your comfort zone. When I talk to undergraduate students, and I wonder how many of you, maybe I'll do a show of hands, would say this. I ask students, why did you choose Brown? And by far the most common answer is the open curriculum. Okay. So this is an approach to education that's designed to encourage intellectual exploration, which means taking risks. So if you came for the open curriculum, this is what you are supposed to do. Tomorrow, you'll start Brown's famous shopping period. And I want each and every one of our new undergraduate students to shop at least one class in a subject you know absolutely nothing about. If you love math, shop classics or German literature. If you love writing, shop biostatistics or cognitive neuroscience. And stick with those courses if they seem interesting to you, even if you're not so sure that you'll do well in them. That's what S&Cs are for, after all. And I'll tell you a secret, getting something other than an A is not the end of the world either. As for our graduate and medical students, it's likely that the set of courses that you're going to take are a little bit more constrained. But I challenge you to pursue ideas that are novel, ideas that may carry risk. Don't be afraid to challenge the status quo in your fields. Don't be afraid to ask your professors challenging questions. They want you to do that. Taking risks goes beyond the classroom. You are surrounded by people from all over the country and the world who have perspectives and experiences that are different from yours. It would be an enormous missed opportunity not to learn from them. And that means you have to talk to them. And that too carries risk. One of the scariest experiences of starting college is standing in a dining hall with a tray of food, scanning the tables, and not seeing one familiar face. So this will happen to you, and when it does, I challenge you, go sit at a table where you don't know anyone and strike up a conversation. You may fail. The people you sit with may be completely uninterested in you, in which case you'll end up eating your pizza or your chicken nuggets in silence. Not the end of the world. But you may meet someone who's really interesting. You may forge a friendship that lasts a lifetime, and take it from me. A stranger I sat down with in a college dining hall is now my husband of 43 years. So please, take risks. And remember that if you fail at something, that does not mean that you are a failure. It means you are exactly the brave and resilient student we hope you will be. So one more point. Last spring, our faculty in the corporation, which is Brown's governing body, approved a set of core institutional values that guide us as we advance our mission of education and scholarship in the service of society. And these values are, 1, the pursuit of knowledge and understanding, which is the way that Brown serves the community, the nation, and the world through research and discovery and education. Number 2 and 3, academic freedom and freedom of expression, as well as a commitment to openness and diversity of ideas, perspectives, and experiences. Our students and scholars, all of you, have to be free to study and learn what they choose without fear of censorship and in an environment that values open discourse. Final value, responsibility for a thriving academic community. Brown is a place where all students, faculty, and staff are valued and supported, each and every one. Every single one of you, regardless of your background, where you come from, how you identify, has something of value to contribute and deserves to be here. This responsibility for sustaining a thriving community is shared by every single one of us, administrators, faculty, staff, and students. And it's a commitment that I ask you to make to each other. Support each other, learn from each other, disagree with each other, fine, but even then do that in a spirit of humility and generosity that binds our community together and makes all of us better. Now, to introduce our keynote speaker. Ethan Pollock is the Abbott Gleason University Professor of History and a Professor of Slavic Studies. He is a distinguished teacher and scholar of Russian history. He's been at Brown for nearly 20 years, but on July 1st of this year, he was appointed Dean of the College, responsible for the oversight of the entire undergraduate program at Brown. He's deeply committed to sustaining a vibrant, resilient academic community. And he has all the hallmarks of somebody who is right for Brown and for this position. When he was appointed dean, he said, and I quote, "Building relationships at Brown is such a privilege. It's one I'm thrilled to embrace as dean. I love being around such smart, engaged, and interesting students, faculty, and staff who help me see the world anew every day." Each fall marks a period of adjustment. Dean Pollock's address today is titled Transitions and Transformations, Making the Most of Your Brown Education. I want to thank him for his willingness to share his insights with all of you today as you prepare for a wonderful and productive semester again. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Dean of the College, Ethan Pollock. Thank you.
Thank you, President Paxson, Provost Doyle, Reverend Demosthenes, fellow administrators, faculty, and staff. I offer our welcome to our new PhD students, our new medical students, our MA students, and our undergraduates of the class of 2029. Welcome to those of you who are coming directly from high school, and to those who are coming from jobs or from another college or from military service. Welcome students from the 81 countries, different countries in our entering class, and those with countless ethnicities, and identities that are not easily captured by state-sanctioned categories. Welcome to our trans and gender non-binary students and to students of all socio and economic classes, all races, all religions, and all cultures. This is not meant to be an exhaustive list. Welcome all. Welcome to your new community. Brown belongs to those who plant the trees and to those who sit under them, to those who clean the rooms and to those who learn in them, to those who organize events such as this one and those who rejoice in them. Together, we make up Brown, and we are so glad you are here with us as the community's newest members. Transitions are important. We mark them with rites of passage because we know that they deserve to be commemorated. Today marks a transition for you, the incoming class. It is also a transition for your caregivers, families, and chosen families. And whether this transition strikes you as easy or hard, it is a big change. This year marks a transition for me as well. As you heard, I am the new dean of the college. I'm excited and I'm a bit overwhelmed. Maybe you share some of those feelings. My predecessors in the role of dean have been amazing. They have furthered Brown's commitment to making our university accessible to more people and then doing the hard work of making sure that all of those who arrive here thrive here. That's a heck of a legacy. No wonder I feel overwhelmed and inspired. All that is to say, you are not alone in your transition. Transitions are hard, but they are made less hard when you are in community. I'm glad to be going through this with you, the class of 2029. Transitions also invite growth. Or perhaps they are hard because we know the only way to respond to new situations is to adapt and grow. The poet W.H. Auden once said that a great book reads us as much as we read a great book. I'm paraphrasing, and if you don't know who Auden is, that's okay. And if you have no idea what he meant about a book reading us, that's okay too. Let me explain, at least the way I understand it. A book or a piece of art reads us in the sense that it reveals what we bring to it. If we start a book and put it down, it is as much a reflection on us as it is on the book. And if we pick up the same book later and it strikes us differently and we dig in and love it, it is because we have changed. The book reads us differently. I think that is what Auden meant. Perhaps something like this has happened in your life. The first time you tried to understand a book or topic or movie, maybe it didn't work. It didn't find you ready. You bored it. And later you were ready. And what had found you dull or unmoving or incurious was now something of incredible joy and value and love. The penny drops. We see something in a new light, and we are transformed because the new light, in part, reflects from us. When I think of this phenomenon, I think of Ivan Turgenev's book, Fathers and Sons. If you've not heard of Turgenev, that too is okay. I first read Fathers and Sons in college, and I didn't think much of it. It was an assignment, so I did it. The book read me as uninteresting. Then I lived in Russia for a few years. I learned that Fathers and Sons, more accurately translated as Fathers and Children, is very much a product of a particular time and place. Russia on the eve of what became known as the Great Reforms of the 1860s. After centuries of autocratic rule and after a 30-year reign of a particularly authoritarian czar, many educated people were clamoring for change. The older generation was critical of autocracy, abhorred the persistence and cruelty of serfdom, and was embarrassed by what they believed was the cultural backwardness of their society. Yet because of the conditions, their critique rested almost solely in the world of ideas. There were no legal political options for them. It was an authoritarian autocracy, after all. To the fathers of the book's title, revolutionary options were only theoretical. And to top it off, many of them were beneficiaries of the system that they loathed. The generation of the children, however, had no sympathy for the ideas and debates of their parents and instead called for direct action, even at the most immediate and minute level. They rejected all unexamined truths. They wanted to rebuild society and ethics from the ground up, and were even ready to denounce their own privileges to do so. The book follows a couple of university students after graduation. They are the quintessential children of the title. They go home for the summer and come face to face with the older generation. What had felt like home before they left for school now represents to them all that is wrong in the world. The older folks find the younger generation full of unearned confidence and dangerously disdainful of tradition. The young students find the fathers out of touch, ignorant, and too timid for real action. The older generation is romantic, the younger generation is practical and wedded to rational thought. But here's the clincher. Turgenev's genius as a writer was his empathy, his ability to see both sides of a debate. Even better than the 19th century Russian literary giants like Tolstoy or Dostoevsky, his description of politics and thought were too nuanced for anyone to feel entirely sure where he himself stood on important matters. The second time I read the book, I was writing a dissertation on Stalin's personal meddling in fields of science and academia. The authoritarian era described in the book and the one I was studying seemed to echo one another. Once I knew some of this background and found myself studying a similar age, the book was able to read me in a new way, in Auden's sense. This time, I found myself enamored with the younger generation. They were clearly the heroes. I saw myself in them, or at least wanted to. The existing system is so stuffy. We weren't going to repeat our parents' mistakes. And when the young hero died, I cried because so much of the hope for the change that Russian society desperately needed seemed to have died with him. And yes, I was thinking too of the world around me at the time. I felt like those two students, painfully aware of injustice and determined to act. Naturally, when I began to teach, I assigned the book to my students. I hoped that they, like the younger generation in the book, would go home full of new ideas and that they could test against their parents these ideas. It was a way of measuring how much college had changed them. But a funny thing happened. The book once again reread me. I started to sympathize a lot more with the older generation in the story. I still cared for the younger generation, but I had a harder time putting myself in their shoes. The fathers seemed less foolish and more sympathetic. Then I read it again recently and found that the younger generation gave me much needed hope in a world that seems to need reform and restructuring. The book was still about 19th century Russia, but it was about much more. The students may have been naive, but at least they were trying to change things. I no longer felt like them, but I admired them. The point is, the book had not changed. The words were the same, but I had changed each time I read it. I was a different person living in a different context. The greatness of the book has to do with how it reads each of us each time. Now, if that sense of growth and change applies to great books, it certainly applies to great institutions. The Van Wickle Gates remain as they have for over a century, but no two students walking through them have been the same. And indeed, every time you walk through the quiet green on your way to or from the rock, you will not exactly be the same. Brown will read you one way today and another way tomorrow. Some changes will be subtle, some will be profound. Like a great book, Brown will be there for you, patiently waiting for you to recognize new lessons. As we grow and go through transformations, we become open to things that we did not recognize before. This is at the heart of personal progress, of learning, of education. It is not so much what your professors teach you as what you are ready to hear and see. So my digression into fathers and sons, notwithstanding, this is ultimately a talk about your Brown education. In fact, Brown is built on the idea that the best education begins with the students' interests, their sense of what an education is for, their thirst for understanding in the world. The idea is that you will emerge out the other end of the experience and out those very same gates, a different person. That's why we have the open curriculum. We have faith that when given the opportunity, you will find your own path and you will transform in ways that we cannot direct or predict. And if everything goes well, Brown too will be transformed in the process. Each generation of student that joins our community makes our community stronger. As you passed through the gates and headed up to this green today, you passed near Martin Puryear's Slavery Memorial. It was commissioned in response to the Slavery and Justice Report in 2006. The report, in turn, was crafted with the help of students who, along with the administration and the faculty, were determined to confront and document the university's complex relationship to the transatlantic slave trade. You may or may not have noticed the memorial. But if Auden was right, the memorial, like the gates, is reading you. It's waiting for you to come around. So too are classes, professors, and topics. Some may take you some time to warm up. Maybe you won't like them the first time you pick them up, or shop them in our lingo. But keep in mind, I didn't take to one of my favorite books right away. We aren't ready for some things until almost miraculously we are. Not all love happens at first sight. Brown is different for each and every one of you. You have different backgrounds, interests, skills, proclivities, ethics, curiosities, and goals. That makes it hard to say what Brown is or should be for each of you. So let's play a little game before I close. I'd like you to take a moment to think of a few words that describe who you are now, who you hope to be at Brown, and how you hope to lead your life beyond Brown. Take a moment. Think of your defining words. Commit those words to memory. When you walk away from this talk, you may ask others about their words, the words they use to describe who they are now, how they hope to approach their time here, and who they hope to become. I'm guessing that no two people would have the exact same answers, but exact same is a pretty high bar. I'm also guessing that you will have a lot in common with many of the folks you run into. You might even have thought of some of the same words. Wow, we both aspire, or want to be adventuresome, or aware, or active, or accessible, or altruistic. And those are just the words beginning with A. Just the same, you might find you have very little in common with some other folks you meet as you walk off this green. You said ambitious, I said humble. You said ferocious, I said fun. There's certainly joy and comfort in finding commonalities, but the true sign of community is when you respect and celebrate difference. Can you figure out how to grow so that the other ways of being in the world and other priorities make sense to you? Can you allow yourself to be reread by something that at first you did not see or understand? That process takes a willingness to be vulnerable, to be wrong, to make mistakes, and to forgive the mistakes of others as they too strive to grow and change. This is what it means to be in community with one another. It means listening and learning and being open to growth and transitions. What will your class of students do? How will Brown read you? How will you shape the world around you? What transformations await? We, your faculty, your deans, your staff, and your families are incredibly excited to see what you make of Brown and what Brown makes of you. Thank you and good luck.
Thank you, Dean Pollock, for your very, very thoughtful words. And welcome again to everybody to the opening of this academic year. I would like you to stand and join the higher keys in singing the alma mater, whose words you're going to have memorized by the end of the week, right? Okay, thank you. Higher keys.
Swell within us with joyful
Thank you very much. This concludes our program. Thank you for coming. Good luck. Welcome to Brown.